Now, our final segment, Understanding the Scriptures, and we continue our excursion through the book of Acts. Here again are Dave and Tom.
This is our Understanding the Scriptures segment. We're in the book of Acts, Acts chapter 27, and we're going to pick up with verse 26. But a little background. Paul and those who are traveling with him are about to be shipwrecked.
Among whom are many prisoners
Right.
of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in fact,
Roman soldiers.
He's a prisoner of Rome.
Mm-hmm. And the Lord has shown him that they're going to be saved if they follow, if the soldiers and the other prisoners, those aboard, follow Paul's direction.
Well, even before that, he warned them, you don't take my advice? I'm telling you, you launch out now. There's going to be a great disaster to this ship and to, there was some real problems then. So they didn't take his advice, and away they went.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Lord has told him precisely what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to pick up with verse 25. It says, "Wherefore, sirs, be of good cheer, for I believe God, that it shall be even as it was told me. Howbeit, we must be cast upon a certain island. But when the 14th night was come, as we were driven up and down in Adria, about midnight the shipmen deemed that they drew near to some country, and sounded," that is, sent out soundings to see their depth, "and sounded, and found it 20 fathoms. And when they had gone a little further, they sounded again, and found it 15 fathoms. Then, fearing lest we should have fallen upon rocks, they cast 4 anchors out of the stern, and wished for the day."
By the way, this is how Samuel Clemens got his pen name. In those days, when was I in the Navy? During the Second World War, we still had these devices. And there was a ball on the end of a rope, and you throw it out, and you had markings on this rope, and so you would call out, "By the mark, 20 fathoms," or "By the mark," be too deep, "By the mark, Twain," because that when it hit, then you read the mark on the rope or whatever it was. So that's what they're doing, and they're finding, wait a minute, this is the bottom is coming up at us pretty fast. We got to do something.
Mm-hmm. Verse 29, "Then fearing lest we should have fallen upon rocks, they cast 4 anchors out of the stern, and wished for the day. And as the shipmen were about to flee out of the ship, when they had let down the boat into the sea, under color as though they would have cast anchors out of the foreship, Paul said to the centurion and to the soldiers, Except these abide in the ship, ye cannot be saved."
Wow. Now, I don't quite understand why that was.
But it was God's instructions.
Right.
So.
Well, because they apparently were going to be essential to what would be needed in this emergency coming up.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are going to get in a boat and get to shore and just abandon everyone. By the way, I've heard of a number of cases, one recently where the captain and his first mate or whatever abandoned the ship and got ashore. And then he said, well, he thought he could direct things better from the shore. Yeah. They had run aground.
That's a good line.
Yeah. The captain must stay with the ship. That's a well-known case. But Paul says these men must stay with the ship as well.
Then the soldiers cut off the ropes of the boat and let her fall off.
That's interesting. They are beginning to believe Paul because it's happening exactly as he said it would happen. If we went back earlier, he says, "The Lord whose I am and whom I serve." We must all have that relationship with the Lord, whose I am and whom I serve, spoke to me and said. And, well, now they're believing, and I think they're going to come to know the God that Paul is introducing them to
And while the day was coming on, Paul besought them all to take meat, saying, This day is the 14th day that ye have tarried and continued fasting, having taken nothing. Wherefore I pray you to take some meat, for this is for your health. For there shall not an hair fall from the head of any of you.
Well, that's sound advice. If you're in the dark, actually, these men are terrified. They don't know what's going to happen. They're panicking. And when you're panicking, you can do stupid things. And Paul says, look, calm down, everybody. We're going to be okay. God has told me this. Now, what you need is a little food inside of you. You got to have some strength for what lies yet ahead.
Dave, this is interesting because God said these things were going to take place. God is in charge. He's sovereign over these things. Yet these men have to participate in very practical ways. Sometimes we forget that. There are things that we need to do, even though we know what God would have us do, how we would go about it. We have to participate, in effect.
Exactly.
Not always, but I would say most of the time.
Well, it's, as I often say, Christianity, you don't just sit on a pink miracle cloud and float up to glory singing hymns. There's work to be done. And Paul puts it very well at the end of Colossians. He says, whereunto I labor, striving according to his working that worketh in me mightily. So when I say I can do nothing, and Paul said, I can of mine own self. Jesus said it, do nothing. The Father has to do it. But that doesn't mean, oh, okay, I just let God kind of lift me out of bed in the morning and point my nose in a certain direction where he's got someone for me to witness to. No, we go about our work, but there is work to be done. So it's a cooperative effort. It's not the best term, but we are his workmanship, separated unto good works that God has before ordained that we should walk in them. So he has something he will empower us to do. This is what he wants us to do, but we need to know, we need to walk in obedience to him, and then we need to be about our Father's business, as Jesus at the age of 12 said to his, rebuking them, to his mother and Joseph.
And Dave, I think of the term waiting. I know you're familiar with this, but yes, we wait upon the Lord, but then there's another waiting that may be involved, and that is just as somebody would wait a table. There's an active part of it and a more passive part of it, and there's a tension between those things. We don't want to. It's like the cloud that was over the Israelites. You didn't want to go ahead of it, and you didn't want to fall behind it. But it's all a very active thing.
It's not easy, this Christian walk, knowing what we are to do. We trust him. He guides. But
well, it's like walking on water. Remember, Jesus did it, but right. Peter, he had to get out of the boat, right. And he could do it for a while until he took his eyes off Jesus. So that's, to me, the miraculous life. We take our eyes off Jesus, we're going to sink. But there are things that we are called to do.
You know, Tom, that reminds me, I think I'm staying on the subject. A lot of hymns that don't quite express it. You get a little false doctrine, even in some of the old ones. One of them is, shall we gather at the river where bright angels' feet have trod, and so forth. Or we get the picture of passing over the river into heaven. No, that was the River Jordan. Canaan was not a picture of heaven.
For more information about the Berean call us toll-free at our order number or visit our website